If you'd like to visit a friendly place with lots of happy people, join the party and come to Brescia. We're in northern Italy, enjoying the luxury of visiting a beautiful city that is not crowded with tourists. It's more of a local kind of place, with lots of lively energy. Piazzas can get busy or peaceful, and always with restaurants and outdoor tables and delicious snacks and spritz. Brescia is in the region of Lombardy and offers the best of Italy, with several beautiful piazzas, of course, and ancient historic sites, including a medieval castle. It's the Citadel up on the hill. They've got Art Nouveau architecture and ancient Roman, where you can walk into a temple that's 2,000 years old. Piazza Paolo VI is a good place to begin your visit, surrounded by cathedrals and cafes, named after Pope Paul VI, who was born near Brescia. Casual football practice is always welcome in a piazza. We have two cathedrals on the piazza. Here's the new one, begun in 1604 in the Baroque style, with magnificent arches and dome. Next to it is the old cathedral in the Romanesque style, dating back to the 11th century, called Duomo Vecchio, also known as La Rotonda due to its circular layout. It's one of Brescia's most significant historical and architectural landmarks. The medieval crypt of San Filastrio is supported by 12 ancient marble columns. You'll also find elements of Gothic architecture and the Renaissance added over the centuries. The wonderful quality of life in the streets in Brescia is even more interesting than the architectural history for most visitors, such as along Via Maretto. It's a fine example of a pedestrian lane that also allows some cars in what's called a limited traffic zone that preserves the historic charm and makes it pedestrian-friendly while allowing partial vehicle access. Some parts of Via Maretto are exclusively for pedestrians, bicycles, and sidewalk cafes. No cars allowed, making this a popular place where the shops do very well. A few years ago, it was a normal street for automobiles, and then it was transformed into this ideal pedestrian area. The most popular and lively place in Brescia is Corso Zanardelli, which has been for many centuries one of the main streets of town. And now this wide promenade filled with pedestrians is like the outdoor living room of the city. It provides street theater and music at its best. The ideal place in town for people watching, strolling, relaxing, shopping, getting a bite, having a drink. Just hang out here. You will love it. There are 3 main piazzas in the city, each quite wonderful, as we'll be showing. But curiously, the Corso is not considered a piazza. It's a street, but this is the major pedestrian hub of the city, filled with daily life and people of all ages. Teatro Grande is one of the great buildings along the Corso, a prestigious venue with a rich calendar of events. First opened in 1664. The double porticos out front date to about that same period, providing shelter for the pedestrians and alcoves for shops and cafes. The Corso has been an important street ever since the Middle Ages, when it ran along the fortified city walls. Then it became a wine market and workshop for stone cutters, and a hospital location. Now it's the most important street in the city and one of the great pedestrian areas of Italy. Busy throughout the day and right on into the night. At the end of Corso Zanardelli, the street continues under a different name and slightly more narrow, Corso Palestro, a route that also dates back to the Middle Ages. It continues for several more blocks with more outdoor cafes and lined with shops. They've done a fine job providing attractive pavement that's smooth and safe to walk on. Around the corner, we get to the Piazza del Mercato, which had been a market square dating back to the late 15th century, with a former palace on the west side, which is now part of the University of Brescia, as are several of these other buildings on the market square. The university has about 17,000 students in a city with a population of about 200,000. From there, we walk along another pedestrian lane with a portico covering the sidewalk on our way to another piazza, as we can illustrate on a map. We've just been at Piazza Mercato, previously at Corso Zanardelli, now walking to Piazza della Loggia, then we'll see Piazza Vittoria, and we started the program in Piazza Paolo VI, a compact historic center just 400 meters from north to south. Piazza della Loggia was built in the 15th century in a Renaissance style as a central public space for gatherings and government. The palazzo dates from 1492, built to house the municipal offices of the city, which it still does today, partly designed by Palladio and Sansovino. The cafes uphold that Italian tradition of free snacks with your drink, typically an afternoon spritz. This monument to Bella Italia is a tribute to a rebellion in 1849 against the Austrian occupation that led towards Italian independence. This little street at the end of the piazza leads to the best party in town. Every Saturday afternoon and into the evening, the young locals gather for conversation, fun, and drinks. And you'll find that they are very friendly and happy to say hello.
Yes, I like Brescia.
All right. The best experience. Che dico si conosce il canale di YouTube.
While tourists do come to Brescia, it does not get overrun, so it retains an authentic character. Yes, we do see a bit of a crowd here, but these are all local people. Except for me, who's taking the pictures, but they don't seem to mind. I stayed in Brescia for 2 days during my visit and found so much to see, as I'm sharing in this video, and yet not overcrowded with tourists, making it a more genuine local experience. They do get nearly 2 million visitors per year, many of them on a day trip from Lake Garda. Brescia is a popular place with many wonderful sights to see. However, the plague of over-tourism, which has hit so many famous cities, has not impacted places like Brescia, slightly off the beaten track. This map of northern Italy shows Brescia just 36 minutes away from Milan by train and only half hour from those two popular lakes Garda and Iseo, with many other fine cities worth visiting, also not overcrowded. And then there's Venice, nearly 2 hours from Brescia by train. Those other places are more famous, which makes Brescia a special place to discover. Once again, we return to Piazza della Loggia to enjoy the twilight. What a magical time to be out, especially in a place like this with historic buildings around you and excellent outdoor restaurants. Here too, it seems nearly all the people are locals, out to enjoy that evening stroll, the passeggiata. The Torre dell'Orologio clock tower has an enormous dial that marks the hours from 1 to 24. The Renaissance arcades provide a picturesque setting wrapped around the square. From one piazza to another, we walk 2 blocks over to Piazza della Vittoria, another one of those most significant plazas in town. This piazza is much more modern than the places we've seen. It was built between 1927 and 1932 in the Art Deco style, although some call it fascist architecture because Mussolini ordered the demolition of a large part of the historic center of town to create the plaza. This did produce a broad open piazza in what had been a rather congested neighborhood, surrounded as usual by shops and restaurants. The post office features a 2-color striped facade. Significant renovations happened in 2013 with new fountains, pavement, and enhancement of the pedestrian area. The open market on Saturday morning sells mostly inexpensive clothing. A grocery store on the piazza has a pizza counter and other kinds of takeaway ready-to-eat foods and other typical items. Back out on the piazza, there was something quite exciting going on. Some kind of mass gathering of people who are going to be exercising all together in a big group. They're getting instructions from the leader and energetic music through the headphones so they're not disturbing the public, while getting quite a workout and having lots of fun with a carefully choreographed routine. They're members of an organization called Thai Fit Italia. It combines martial arts with a rhythmic and energetic training in a very public performance. That reflecting fountain is quite impressive, and there are some landmark buildings around the piazza, including Italy's first skyscraper, Ina Tower, 57 meters high, opened in 1932. In the evening, things calm down a little bit in the piazza, and the restaurants come to life. I especially enjoyed Signor Vino. This is a wine bar, wine store, and high-quality restaurant. They have 20 of them throughout Italy. Very successful because the price is good, the menu's extensive, the food's delicious, and the service was very friendly, offering simple and traditional Italian cuisine. Back on the piazza at night, there are still people enjoying a stroll, and around the corner, a group of young breakers strutting their stuff right in front of my hotel, which I will take you inside later. Next morning, getting an early start to visit the fortress up on top of the hill. It's the Citadel. Most people walk to it uphill, or you could take a taxi right to this cafe terrace in front of the entrance. This hilltop has been a fortress ever since the days of the ancient Romans, and over the centuries it has expanded tremendously, evolving into a tremendous castle, and now includes several museums and terraces with spectacular views out across the city. There is no charge to come through the gates and into the grounds of the Citadel. You are welcome to walk around throughout the property, which is very expansive, as you can see in the map. Enter through the front gate and explore the entire area. There are a couple of small museums you could pay if you want to go in them, but otherwise just skip it and walk around on the grounds. One museum you might want to consider paying for is the Armor Museum, with a fine collection of weapons, antique arms, and armor, representing Brescia's long history of manufacturing military weapons. The spectacular view from the hilltop is one of the main reasons why people come up to the Citadel, just to look out away from the fortress into the town down below. From this angle, we see how massive the cathedral is, with its dome reaching 270 feet high. Perhaps a light refreshment as you exit the castle and walk back on down the hill. It's only 200 meters to get back into the town, arriving at a small piazza with a sidewalk jazz band. You'll often find music in the streets of Brescia. Museum Street runs alongside that piazza named after Tito Speri, a hero in Italy's fight for independence in the mid-19th century. The other main piazzas are nearby in this central location. Then we'll see the Broletto and walk to the ancient Roman temple. The neighborhood has narrow lanes through the old buildings, and it seems a restaurant pops up on every little piazza. Around the corner, we reach the internal courtyard of the Broletto, one of the most important buildings in the administrative history of the city. The tower and government offices were first built in the 12th century. The original tower is still intact, standing 54 meters tall. The courtyard is always open, free to the public, where people can celebrate weddings standing next to a 17th century fountain. The courtyard is so open that it functions like a street, providing a shortcut to get from one block to another. Now we're continuing along Museum Street that will bring us in the direction of the Roman archaeological site. Dating back 2,000 years, it's an ancient temple commissioned by Emperor Vespasian in the year 73. It's called the Capitoline Temple, or in Latin, the Capitolium. one of Brescia's UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The other important ancient Roman structure was the theater built during the Augustan period about 2,000 years ago, with a stage and semicircular seating area. As seen here, an illustration of what the temple and theater would have looked like. These structures were part of the religious and political center of the ancient city they called Brixia, a significant city on an ancient Roman trade route, which later evolved into modern Brescia. More of this Roman history is on display at Santa Giulia Museum, just 300 meters away, including 2 Roman houses discovered by excavations in their original location, with mosaic floors and frescoed walls dating to the 1st century, found beneath the Benedictine nunnery that was constructed here, which had many buildings including the church, cloisters, chapels, residences, and offices. Now it's a huge museum complex with 14,000 square meters or 150,000 square feet of exhibit space. The museum showcases a large collection of Roman artifacts including sculptures, mosaics, and pottery, where you can learn about the Roman Empire. A main focus of the exhibit is the 8th century Basilica of San Salvatore. It features polychrome marble columns and elaborate stucco decorations, one of the finest examples of what's called the Longobard religious architecture. The Longobards were a Germanic tribe that settled in Brescia in the mid-6th century. The city flourished under their rule, especially as seen here in this complex of San Salvatore and Santa Giulia, created in the middle of the 8th century. A majestic painted ceiling hovers above the Oratory of Santa Maria in Solario, with colorful frescoes of saints all around, and the Cross of Desiderius in the center, adorned with 212 gemstones. When finished with this museum complex, there is a fine art museum you want to consider, Pinacoteca Tosio Martinengo, about 800 meters away. Here you can admire the works of Titian, Raphael, and local famous artist Moretto in beautiful exhibition rooms. From there, it's a nice walk back into the center of town. And that completes our visit to Brescia, but now I want to show you a little bit about the hotel where I stayed, right on Piazza della Vittoria. Hotel Vittoria is a deluxe property with 5 stars, but you'll find that in Brescia, prices of hotels are much more reasonable than in the major Italian cities. They serve an extensive breakfast buffet in a very comfortable dining room with easy access to the adjacent lobby lounge. A Murano chandelier accents the Art Nouveau architecture, complete with a rooftop dining terrace. A metro station is on that same piazza, providing easy transportation over to the main train station for our departure. Brescia is the smallest city with an underground metro. Now they are complementing it with a new surface tram system. Those crenellated towers make the train station look like a castle. I'm traveling light with plenty of room on board this train. It's best to avoid rush hour so you'll have lots of space. And lovely scenery out the window as we carry on to our next destination in northern Italy. During a 1-month trip, I visited 20 cities, traveling by train, with videos about them that you can find in our collection. We frequently upload new movies, so please subscribe to our channel and click that little alarm bell so you'll be notified. And if you enjoyed the movie, how about a thumbs up? And we always welcome comments down below. Or if you have questions about the destination, make note and we'll answer them. Thanks for watching.